Hey there, I'm Charlotte with Colorful Teaching for You. Picture it. You come from a new country. You are so excited. You can hardly believe you're here. You've waited for this moment for so long, and as soon as you land, you realize everything is exactly the way they told you it would be. Oh my goodness, the building looks amazing. It's just the way you read about it. It's the way you dreamed about it. It is perfect. This place is perfect. And then you realize after a while you start to miss your home country, don't you? A little bit, at least. And as time goes by, you start to miss it a little bit more. But it's still perfect. And then you go to school the first day. It's amazing. You are excited. Your mind is blown away. And then the teacher starts to give you instructions. And things start to become a little hazy. You don't always understand every single thing the teacher is saying. You haven't seen some of these things before. So you go to a friend or a peer, let's call them a peer instead, and you ask them a question and you say, hey, do you know what this means? Because in school, that's what you learn to do. You ask a friend before you ask a teacher. And if you still don't get it, then you ask another friend first. So that's what I did. I asked a friend. And after a while, you become a little bit annoying. And the teacher sees the child and says, hey, we've got it, we have to be kind. Because this child comes from a third world country, they don't know anything. They don't have the same things as us. And then you take a step back and you're like, what? What does that even mean? It is not the child's job to explain this to me. If I didn't understand it, you have to explain it. That's what a teacher's job is. Now, I don't know about if you felt this way or if you've got students who've ever felt this way, but let me tell you, this is a reality for many of us. This was my reality when I first came here. And I felt less than, to a point where, if you notice, I don't have much of an accent anymore. My clothing style is different. What I eat is different. The way I walk, the way I talk, who I am is different. Because when I moved here, my job was to assimilate. And I knew if I assimilated, I would be fine. And so I lost my culture. I lost everything that made me different and made me special. And now I'm bringing that back. Now, as a teacher, this is something that I want to get away from. And so many of us talk about being colorblind. What is colorblind? It means you don't see the beauty in all of the different shades that are out there. Is that okay? Are you actually colorblind? You do see it. You and I both know that. The only way you don't see it is if you truly are blind. And if you aren't, you can't use that as an excuse, because that's not true for you. That's an actual disability, and that's not okay to hide behind that, unless it's true for you. So what I'd like to do is ask us teachers to stand up. I'm here to advocate for our children and for us to make that change. So as you can tell, I'm super passionate about this topic. My hands are moving around a lot because it's just exciting for me, because I want to make that change, and I know there are so many awesome teachers out there, and if you are making that change, thank you so much, because you are fabulous. Let's take it to another level. Let's talk about what is cultural diversity. Essentially, it is when you belong to a specific group. It is a way of life. It is your identity. And when you feel connected to that group, be it ethnicity, be it your gender, be it any of those forms, your child's well-being, your well-being just skyrockets. And so we are going to look at how we can do that. Because can you imagine if your children feel accepted by you, safe to be who they are already, their authentic selves, then imagine what it's going to do for your classroom community and for your classroom management. It'll take it to a whole new level. So let's get into those 3 steps. Number 1, assess the class. And what do I mean by assess the class? I'm talking about learning about your children's cultural identity, their what makes them diverse, what makes them different but beautiful. So bring in things to help them understand it. Bring in things for the rest of the class to understand their identity. What that means is bring in books, bring in movies, bring in food to share, bring in artifacts to share. This is a little bit more superficial though. So what I want you to do when you bring in books and movies is ask your children, and they can do this as young as grade 2, because if my kids can do it, any of the kids can do it. So ask them to assess whose voice is being portrayed, whose narrative is coming through this process. Sorry, my accent just kicked in there for a second. Oh dear. But that's what we want to assess. The second step is to delve deeper. Don't just look at that superficial level, but look at who they really are deep down. And the way to do it is to spend some time, some quality time. And when I say quality time, I mean over a month, 2, 3 months, and actually get them to learn about their culture. Take on a project about it and have them then share about it with the class. Now, this is a very essential step because it's going to bring not just your kids closer together, but it requires them to now start talking to their family, and then you start to build that connection between the child, the classroom, and that family. All three come together. Now, I'm working on a project for my class because we talked about it, and in November, when we have the month of peace, because that's when Remembrance Day is, I want to talk about how to embrace our culture. So we're going to be going on a month-long journey with my kids. And I'll report back to you in probably a later episode about how that works out. And I'll make that resource available to you. But the next step, after you've brought the family in, is now to bring the community in, community inclusion. So either take your kids out, which might be tricky right now with COVID, or bring in somebody. And you can bring in someone. I don't know, it depends on where you are, but at least in BC right now where I am, we can check if somebody's vaccinated and then bring them into our school to have a conversation about their culture, to bring in things. And if you are looking at Indigenous education, which is a really big thing right now, really focusing on bringing the elderly in to share their knowledge. And I don't just mean Indigenous elders, I'm talking about all of your children's identities, your culture, their cultural identity. Bring in their grandmas, their grandpas, their uncles, their aunties, whoever it is that they want to bring in. Have them come in and share about their identity. Now, you don't need to bring everybody in, but bring in one or two together and have that conversation, because that's when we now start to build our children's social network, especially those children who are new to our country, because I have some who right now are brand new. If we bring in people to support their social network, because that's what's going to help them grow, but it's also going to help those current children. It brings awareness to them about the beauty that lies in different cultures. They get to see not just the artifacts, but they get to delve deep into the religion, the culture, the food, the family lifestyle, the traditions that makes this, whatever culture they're a part of, so much richer. And so I ask that we look at these 3 steps. So let's recap. We talked about the importance of diversity, cultural diversity, how it's going to help your classroom community, and 3 steps, which is assess the class, delve deeper, and classroom community, or community inclusion. Now, if you have any questions, feel free to message me, and if you need help with this, feel free to message me, and I will be very happy to help you along the way. In the meantime, I will see you next week for some Halloween games, and remember to create, experience, and teach from the heart. Take care, my friends. Bye-bye.